Thanks indeed, Pratibha. Yes, that's the big story. Viewers, even as the crisis in Maharashtra unfolds in the background, and we are going to catch up with that in about 25 minutes or so, but at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. tonight on India Upfront, after a 14-year-long inquisition or trial by fire, Modi, viewers, stands vindicated. For 14 years, he has had to answer to a plea that a 3-judge bench of the apex court said was devoid of merit. Yes, devoid of merit. Indeed, the Supreme Court has finally seen the light of the truth. You may ask, what's new? We know that Modi is innocent of any alleged role in the Gujarat riots. Why are you giving us stale news? You'll ask me that question. Well, thinks. I bet, viewers, you didn't know that Narendra Modi was being framed in the Gujarat riot cases. Framed. These allegations that were made against him didn't just appear out of a sense of fighting for justice. In fact, there was, to quote the Supreme Court, an ulterior design, not my words, the Supreme Court bench's words, an ulterior design. To do what? To entrap Modi. That Zakia Jafri, who lost her husband, a Congress member of parliament, in the Gulberg Society massacre, was actually an instrument in the hands of some people who, to quote the Supreme Court once again, wanted to keep the pot boiling. The idea, it appears, was that the matter would be stretched out so that Modi's political opponents could stall him from becoming the Prime Minister, and if they could help it, even get him jailed or worse. Now, viewers, that is pretty diabolical. What you also didn't probably factor in was this chilling fact that had what the Supreme Court bench called, quote, devious stratagem, unquote, succeeded, Modi would have been sentenced to death for allegedly instructing the police forces to stand down while Hindus and Muslims clashed and killed each other. Viewers, he was charged with capital offenses. Now, when there is miscarriage of justice in any part of this country, when people, for example, are arrested in terror plots, a whole number of people hit the streets saying that this is a vendetta campaign. But here, viewers, a chief minister was being framed in a case in which he could have hanged. And that case was devoid of merit, as we have now discovered. In fact, the Supreme Court is so outraged at the audacity of it all that it has recommended action against the League, many drawn from the Lutyens set. You're very familiar with that Lutyens set. Here's what the Supreme Court has said. Let me quote it to the last letter. All those involved in such abuse of process need to be in the dock and proceeded with in accordance with the law, unquote. The abuse of due process is being invoked by the Supreme Court for a justifiable reason. The Supreme Court said that the petitioner's arguments were, quote, far-fetched and an attempt to undo and undermine the industry of the SIT in investigating the cases, unquote. Now, viewers, this is also very serious. The SIT was set up by the Supreme Court. This entire probe was being monitored by the Supreme Court. Now, if you were trying to undermine the agency of the SIT, in code words, viewers, that means trying to dictate to the SIT, trying to sabotage the workings of the SIT, or perhaps even lean on the SIT. Viewers, you were actually influencing the due process of law. That is a very serious offense. the Supreme Court also says that these attempts were bordering on, quote, undermining the integrity and sincerity, unquote, of the SIT members. And most of the content in the plea was biased on versions of others which have been found to be replete with falsehoods, unquote. Viewers, this has not been known before. This is all new. And we have with us, viewers, to discuss this entire matter, Dr. Sambit Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Madhu Kishwar, founder of the Manushi, Tehseen Poonawalla, political analyst, Vivek Srivastava, a member of the left, a political analyst. The left was, of course, in the forefront of trying to jail Narendra Modi and presumably have him sentenced to death while they were at it. We also have with us Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, who's fought aspects of these cases for Narendra Modi. Now I want to first begin with Mr. Jethmalani. First straight question. The Supreme Court says, Mr. Jethmalani, that those behind the devious stratagem, not my words, a phrase that I'm quoting straight out of the judgment, need to be put into the dock. And I'm quoting the Supreme Court here exactly. Mr. Jethmalani, is there concrete proof to suggest that the people can be tried for framing Prime Minister Modi? I want to ask you this.
Well, I mean, look, there are the people who actually lied in respect of the alleged conspiracy to foment the riots. Those are Sri Kumar and, Sanjeev Bhatt and Rahul Sharma. They have clearly perjured themselves because they made statements on oath and they made them before public servants to falsely implicate. So there's, in view of the Supreme Court findings now, there's a cast iron case against them. And they should be prosecuted, all these people. I mean, some of them are already, being punished for various other crimes, planting narcotics on a lawyer, and also for some extraneous murder,
right.
a custodial death. So, but the message has to be sent. Given the findings of the Supreme Court, there has to be a deterrent for this kind of thing. And Rahul, it's happening continuously. There's a tendentious false narrative on every issue. There is such a hostility towards our present Prime Minister that the falsehoods have to stop. And this was one of the worst falsehoods because there was an attempt to charge Mr. Modi with a capital offense, an offense which is punishable with death in as much as he had conspired with others at that so-called meeting of 27th February, right, to foment riots and instigate Hindus to kill Muslims in retaliation for Godhra. A very serious charge, a very false charge, and built on a foundation of sand. Now discovered that every witness who deposed in that case against Mr. Modi, A, they were belated, their evidence was belated. In the case of Sanjeev Bhatt, as you probably noticed in the judgment, after 9 years. And B, they were found to be manifestly false. Now, the meeting of 27th February, at which Sanjeev Bhatt was supposed to be present.
Yes.
10 other people and all high-ranking police officers and bureaucrats said he was never present. What can be a more damning indictment? It's about time. I mean, I've been waiting for this day. As it is, Teesta Setalvad faces serious charges.
No,
now, she's, of course, very conveniently manipulated things, including Zakia, from behind the scenes, at the behest of the Congress party and some very high functionaries of the Congress party. I make so bold to say that. I can establish this.
You can establish. No. Hang on. This is very important. Let's take this forward. While you speak about Gujarat government officials, I spoke to R.K. Raghavan, the chief of the SIT. Same SIT, viewers, that the Supreme Court said was being in some way or the other undermined. Now that is direct interference in due process of the law. And I spoke to R.K. Raghavan, the chief of the SIT, and he talked about the pressure from ministers at the centre. So we are talking about the UPA era, Mahesh Jethmalani, and you are saying you have proof. What have you done with it?
Well, the ministers of the centre were two lawyers, in fact, but I'm sure that they got two minister lawyers. I'm not going to give their names right now.
Okay.
Because one of them is even a friend. But the fact of the matter is they fomented this whole thing. Whose hand was on Teesta Setalvad? And the same band of lawyers in the Supreme Court, right? till today continue to foment tendentious narratives, slanted half-truths against Modi on a number of other issues, whether it is Rafale, whether it is on the farmers' case, whether it is on now Agnipath. There's a false narrative and an attempt to inflame a cauldron against Mr. Modi.
Okay.
You know the security issues, it's a very serious threat.
No.
I mean, look at the security issue that took place in Punjab.
I understand that. I understand it. Let me open this up. Stay on with me. Let me open this up. Tehseen Poonawalla, Dr. Patra. I want to bring you into this. This is very important. This is a very, very important story, viewers. Now, Tehseen Poonawalla, what is the court saying? And I'm talking about the Supreme Court. And I know that some of those who support you and are part of your ecosystem today are suggesting that the courts have been suborned. It's scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. But I want to come to you, Mr. Poonawalla, and I want to ask you, this was contrived to keep the pot boiling, to build animosity between communities, to suggest that some person was being perhaps soft-pedaled, to suggest that one particular party had some sort of diabolical design against or view on the Muslims, to also suggest that the putative Prime Minister was some sort of hateful Islamophobe. This is very serious. Tehseen Poonawalla, this is very serious. And some of the people that the Supreme Court has mentioned, Mr. Bhatt, you gave them tickets. You rewarded them.
Good evening, Rahul. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and good evening to all your viewers. At the onset, we all have to bow before the majesty of the Supreme Court, which we do. But there are a few points that I want to raise, and I do not concur with this judgment with respect to the Honorable Supreme Court. What you are essentially saying, Rahul, is nobody killed Ehsan Jafri, just like nobody killed Haren Pandya, except that they call made by Ehsan Jafri to the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, asking for police protection to come and save his life, which never turned up. The Gujarat Police never turned up. But hey, nobody killed Ehsan Jafri, nobody killed Haren Pandya. Let's come to the second part.
That's wrong.
May I please make my point?
No, on that point, before you see, we are hauled up for contempt. The channel I'm talking about. Because again, you are misrepresenting what the Supreme Court has said. The Supreme Court has also said that those who have been derelict in their duties should be punished. The story here was that a narrative was built, like you are insinuating right now, that a call was made to Narendra Modi and Narendra Modi told the police to stand down. That there is no evidence of. And that is why the Supreme Court has actually named these Gujarat officials. And let me quote what they said. Let me quote what they said. And this is now established. This is said, while parting, we express our appreciation for the indefatigable work done by the SIT officials in challenging circumstances they had to face, and yet we find that they have come out with flying colors unscathed. At the end of the day, it appears that a coalesced effort of disgruntled officials of the state of Gujarat, along with others, was to create sensation by making revelations which were false to their own knowledge. And what was this revelation? That Modi sat with some officials and told them, don't respond. Don't respond.
Okay, may I please now...
So please, the Supreme Court has drawn a distinction between Modi's role and the role of derelict officials. So please,
okay.
If it's a fair point, then don't misrepresent, sir. Please.
May I please be allowed to speak? Thank you.
Yeah.
Just hear me out. Even if what you were saying is absolutely true, which is not the complete fact, but let me not go into that. Is it also...
I'm not saying it, the Supreme Court is saying it.
Sir, I request you, please allow me, and I disagree with the judgment, because please allow me to put my point forward, please. Sir, is it also a made-up fact that the SIT which is being praised by the honorable courts before whose majesty we all bow, the same SIT chief was then made, Mr. Raghavan, the ambassador to Cyprus in 2017 by Mr. Narendra Modi, who was investigating. Not one but two SITs investigated Mr. Narendra Modi. Which was the second SIT? Satypal Singh ji. Where is he today? This IPS officer is now a minister in the Narendra Modi government. Do I have to... Caesar should not just be innocent, he should also look to be above innocent. And was it also some sort of of a conspiracy by the then Honorable Supreme Court, which moved the trials out of Gujarat, the best bakery trials out of Gujarat, because the Supreme Court said, look, it is difficult to deliver justice in Gujarat. Please allow me to finish. Was it the same Supreme Court conspiracy that said that Nero was fiddling his thumbs, playing the flute while Gujarat was burning? And they said this in written on record in the Supreme Court. And my last point, Mr. Rahul Shivashankar, who killed Ehsan Jafri and Haren Pandya? If nobody killed them, nobody is held guilty. That's how it works. Nobody killed anybody.
Mr. Poonawalla, you're wrong on some accounts. Again, the insinuation is Nero fiddled. Nero fiddled. Did Nero fiddle because he was thinking diabolically, or he was caught off guard? Because if it's diabolism, the Supreme Court has bust that claim. He might have been inefficient. He might have been inefficient. But certainly, he wasn't allowing the earth to shake when a big tree was falling. So let me bring in Dr. Patra on this point. Dr. Patra, 2 or 3 questions raised that you rewarded all these officials who gave Modi a clean chit with plum postings, one in Cyprus and another one in your ministry. How do you respond to that?
See, Rahul, first and foremost, as far as the Supreme Court's injunction that there are certain people who want to keep the pot boiling, it's quite in the debate as well. I mean, as far as our friends who want to keep the pot boiling, I believe that no amount of debate is going to convince them. They will have their point of view till eternity, and we will have our point of view, which has been supported and vindicated today, validated today by the Supreme Court. Remember, as far as this whole judgment, etc. is concerned, we have gone through 2 courts. We have gone through the courts of people. People, in fact, have validated Mr. Narendra Modi long ago. An umpteen number of times, not just this judgment. Remember, the lower court, the high court, magisterial court, the Supreme Court twice has given clean chit, as the SIT, which was appointed by the Supreme Court, has given clean chit to Narendra Modi. But despite all these clean chits, my good friends, will keep the pot boiling. The 3 very important components of this whole case. Number 1, the design. What the court calls is the ulterior design, a design with ulterior motive. The number 2, who are the designers, whom we call the ecosystem. And number 3, what effect does it have upon the person on whom it was destined to bring bad luck upon whom it was all destined to fall, that is Mr. Narendra Modi. Now, as far as this design is concerned, no doubt about it, that it was a devilious design, the design to keep the man with talent then, that is Mr. Narendra Modi, away from the seat of power, because the first family felt that we are the only ones who should be the Prime Minister, the Presidents, etc. of the country, and that's why they did not want Narendra Modi, a man with talent, to travel anywhere near that, so the design. Number 2, as far as the designers, look at the financial backing, look at the institutional backing these designers had till yesterday. I mean, even today these designers, through their NGOs, through their foreign fundings, through their foreign masters, have backing. And astonishingly, I mean, some of us should raise the issue as to how Teesta Setalvad used these victims to usurp money. Money which was spent on champagne.
Allegedly.
Money which was on sandals.
Allegedly.
Money which was spent on dresses. Allegedly, of course. All this is still allegedly, of course.
So let me ask. No, hang on. Because Mr. Jethmalani was involved in this case. Hang on, let me bring him in. Because Mr. Jethmalani was involved in this case. Mr. Jethmalani, in affidavit submitted by the state of Gujarat itself, Setalvad's name is clearly mentioned. Then why has the Supreme Court chosen not to take any names, especially of those he claims were using Zakia as an instrument? There have also, of course, been probes that have been initiated against her, as Dr. Patra has said. They haven't gone very far. The charge was that this was vendetta, retribution. That is what Poonawalla and Mr. Srivastava are going to say next. Can you explain?
But I think without, without using the word, I mean, her name has cropped up in the judgment, right? But without saying so explicitly, I mean, there's almost an irresistible inference that the person who talking about, when they spoke about somebody, firing from Zakia's shoulders, Mrs. Zakia's shoulders, right, was Teesta Setalvad.
Okay. No, hang on. So as I said,
Rahul, I had
no, one second. As I said, you have filed, you have moved court. Nothing has come of it.
Her anticipatory bail application matter is still pending. The High Court, but by the way, the High Court judge who decided her anticipatory bail application has now come to the Supreme Court, Justice Padibala, and he refused her anticipatory bail.
Sure.
And you know, you are mincing your words when you say mismanagement of a trust. It was breach of trust. It was stealing money from riot victims. Those funds which she stands accused of misappropriating are funds which were raised in the name of the victims of the Gujarat riots. What can be worse? I mean, I don't know. You know, I tell you the sides. The Congress spin on narratives, or the left spin on narratives, or whatever you call these bunch of tendentious fairy tale makers, right? They get away with so much in the press.
Get away with so much.
But all their sins, there's only a passing reference. Okay. They're never punished for it.
Okay, now hang on.
The Modi government now, it behoves him.
Okay, 1 second. Madhukishwar. Anytime, and even today, even after the Supreme Court has weighed in the manner it has, we point a finger, we are told that, sorry, you are being vengeful. You are being vengeful. Madhukishwar.
Rahul, the problem is that these people cannot be shamed because they have built a whole political career on the basis of lies. Firstly, let me share with you the malified nature and the devious nature of the original complaint itself. Anybody who knows the ABC of law knows that an FIR in a criminal case has to be filed within a time-bound manner. Now, this complaint by Jafri was filed 4 years after the event. When the event took place, which is the killings and the violence in the Gulbarga society in that neighborhood, that day when she came out, Zakia Jafri, she told the police, it's on camera, her statement, that she and 180 others were saved by the police, while 39 perished. But more importantly, she also admitted that she saw nothing because she and all the women had locked themselves up on the top floor of this building. So they saw nothing really, and she admitted that she and others were rescued by the police. It's also a fact that the police had actually fired outside and 5 among the mobsters were killed. Now 4 years later she comes up, she does not come up with any facts. She comes up with the wildest allegations, and I tell you, I stick my neck out and say, if anybody reads her complaint, which the Supreme Court, not any of the lower courts, not the High Court of Gujarat, they wouldn't entertain it. The Supreme Court of India, with a very pliable judge, Aftab Alam, and the others went along for what reason I don't know. If you read that document on the basis of which, it's the most absurd, ludicrous document. It is ludicrous because in any FIR, if you have to register, you have to either say this happened at such and such time and I was witness to it, or such and such was witness to it. She brings no witness. She doesn't even bring her own witness because she's admitted she never saw anything. What she says instead, what she files instead, is that 63 persons, including Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, Home Minister, Chief Secretary, and the entire cabinet and top-ranking officers, they should all be booked for riots, as though they were standing outside a house with kerosene canisters and burning. I mean, it's ridiculous. The entire government, top brass, should be this when she saw nobody, huh? Then not only that, what is the evidence she's offering? As Mahesh just pointed out, the evidence was these 2 compromised officers, who one of them who's in jail, or perhaps the second one should actually be tried and hung because he was involved in the ISRO sabotage case. Now, 1 second, she cites their doctor testimonies. that they heard Chief Minister say that revenge should be taken. They were not present, it was proven. And the fact of the matter is, she didn't call Chief Minister Modi. Who she called? Himmat Singh Patel, who was the then mayor, a congressman who was the mayor of Ahmedabad, and he was appealing to his party people because Jafri saw many congressmen in the mob. In that mob, it wasn't just BJP workers, it was Hindus, including congressmen and leading congressmen. And he therefore was calling Himmat Singh Patel, and Himmat Singh Patel did not come to his rescue. Not only that, when Sonia Gandhi went to Ahmedabad in May after the riots, she did not even condescend to meet Jafri. And why? Because at that time, Jafri was so angry with Congress party workers who were complicit in this violence. I've documented all this in my book, Modi, Muslims and Media.
Okay. So let me bring in Vivek Srivastava, who is frothing at the mouth.
Why did she not meet Sonia? Because Sonia would have gotten a mouthful from Zakia against her own party member. And it's only 4 years later that this whole fake story is spun.
So I'll tell you, Madhu Kishwar, viewers, is not talking through her hat tonight. Even the Supreme Court has said it. And I have it here. Clause 79. Let me read, viewers. In the name of protest petition, appellant, who is Zakia Jafri, was also indirectly questioning the decisions rendered by the courts in other cases, including sub judice matters, for reasons best known to her. She was obviously doing so under dictation of someone. In fact, the sizable contents of the protest petition are founded on affidavits filed by those persons whose versions have been found to be replete with falsehoods. Vivek Srivastava, this is serious. 4 years later, you wake up. Tehseen Poonawalla has the audacity to say, oh, the court is trying to sort of paper over a heinous event by saying no one, trivializing it. Now just look at the way Poonawalla tried to trivialize it, and now look at the way Vivek Srivastava is going to explain away. Viewers, what the Supreme Court says was an attempt to snare Modi through a petition which was filed under dictation of someone. He will not admit the Supreme Court. He will question the Supreme Court. Now let's ask him. Vivek Srivastava, simple question.
Yes, Rahul,
why 4 years later,
Rahul,
why was it dictated? Why was it dictated by someone? Who was it?
No, let me speak
if
now.
Not the people that Jethmalani, Mr. Jethmalani has mentioned, if not the two officers or maybe even more that the Supreme Court has mentioned. Come on. This is a frame-up.
Okay. Now give me 30 seconds and please don't interrupt me. First of all, I congratulate you on giving a clean sheet. Let us all praise Mr. Modi for the riots that happened in Gujarat. Let us all praise Mr. Modi that thousands of Muslims were actually butchered. Let's praise him. Let us say he was a good chief minister.
Don't trivialize this matter, please. Don't be. No. I'm sorry to use this word. I will not. No, I will not engage this conversation. This is ridiculous. Vivek Srivastava, you have the. No. You have a of trivializing the most serious matters because I think you don't understand the gravity of things, and I think I make a mistake by giving you a platform. So, if you can't be constructive, I'm going to ask you to leave this. No, I'm going to ask you to leave. Excuse me, sir. All you want to do, all you want to do is to abuse people. All you want to do is to try and suggest that people are trivializing things. This is not the way. Vivek Srivastava, this is not JNU Square where people like you will stand and pass all sorts of judgments on other people. No, I'm not engaging you. I'm lowering your fader. I'm counting till 3. If you don't keep quiet and if you don't answer to the point. So I'll give you another opportunity. 1, 2, 3.
No.
Now I'm asking you, sir, was this not a frame-up? Was this not a frame-up?
No, I want to ask you first, Rahul, did the riots happen or not?
Are you out of your mind? Listen, down. He's just a waste of time. Shut him down. Ask him to go. Please. Please leave, sir. You have no idea of how to debate on a panel. You are completely incorrigible. You are trivializing a matter. Everyone has said the riots have happened. The Supreme Court has said that people who have actually been completely derelict should be punished. They've also said, the Supreme Court justices, 3-judge bench viewers, has also come out and said very clearly that, look, those people who have construed a narrative out of thin air need to also be put in the dock. If you ask people like Vivek Srivastava this question, they throw it back at you in the most incorrigible manner, and that cannot be tolerated. Sorry. No one here suggests that this tragedy didn't happen. Neither has Madhu Kishwar said that. Now, Tehseen Poonawalla, I'm coming back.
I have said that congressmen instigated the riots.
Well,
I say it and I repeat it. I have written it in my book that congressmen instigated the riots, including the Godhra train.
Well, let me bring in Tehseen Poonawalla. Tehseen Poonawalla, look,
that's a fact.
In the Sikh riots, it was said that RSS men were involved. Today, if Madam Kishwar says that, look, there were people in the crowd that belonged to the Congress party, and Mr. Jafri was stunned to see that, and Mrs. Jafri perhaps was aware of this fact. No one is denying that there were riots. We have a different problem here. The question that is coming up here is that Modi was being framed, and that is a serious one.
All right. Even if I were to go by your hypothesis, Rahul, that Mr. Modi was being framed,
I am not saying that Supreme Court is saying it.
And the judgment, please allow me to say, and the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court.
Yeah, stick to the judgment of the Supreme Court, not what I have said. I've only quoted out of the Supreme Court, sir. Please, don't put me in this.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
Now, please, may I make my point?
Yeah, please.
Did anybody in this so-called echo chamber put the following words in Mr. Modi's mouth, that when he went to the riot, where the riot victims are displaced, he spoke about Muslims as bacha paida karne ki factory, and therefore he again made the atmosphere unconducive to peace. Did anyone do that? Did anyone ask Mr. Modi, the ecosystem, that the bodies of the car savers that were burnt in that coach should be paraded in Ahmedabad, should be taken in open baskets so that people get charged up? Was that done? How was the bodies taken? Why were those bodies taken? May I make one more submission before I finish? I repeat my question, Dr. Patra. One second, please, ma'am. Why did the Supreme Court shift the cases out of Gujarat into Maharashtra and say justice is not being delivered here? Can you please answer that question? Was that not the administration of Mr. Modi?
That time.
Oh, so the Supreme Court listens to the government of the time. So by your logic, Ms. Kishwar, is the Supreme Court today responding to the government of the time?
Under UPA, Supreme Court was very pliable.
And this government is not content.
Okay, Dr. Patra, respond please.
Extremely pliable.
At a political level, please respond. Dr. Patra, some questions that are being asked of Tehseen Poonawalla, by Tehseen Poonawalla.
See, I'm so sad about Teesta Setalvad today. Teesta should have hired our good friend Tehseen Poonawalla to contest this case. She probably lost the case because there was no Tehseen Poonawalla in the Supreme Court. His presence only might have added some credibility to the whole case. So, as I mentioned in the beginning itself, Rahul, that you cannot debate this issue with people who are not ready to believe and call this whole judgment, whole verdict as a hypothetical judgment, hypothetical verdict. How can I debate with this? How can I have a debate with Tehseen when he does not believe all this to be true, when he says this is hypothetical? What I'm proud of today is the institutions of India. Well, it may be late, but after the due course of time, what has emerged out of the highest institution of India, the highest judicial institution of India, is the truth which we all are made to be aware of today. It's not that people did not know. And that's the reason as to why Modi won election after election after election. Because people knew very well that Mr. Modi was not responsible for whatever happened in Gujarat in 2002, number one. And I'm proud of Mr. Modi. Well, look at the comparison. For 20 long years, here is a man who's silently, courageously, transparently showing complete faith in the system, face the trial, not asking anyone to burn tires outside the ED office, not asking anyone to burn tires outside the SIT office, not calling a single BJP Karyakarta and saying break loose mayhem across the country because I have been asked questions in SIT. No. This is the true quality of a leader.
Okay.
You have to
Well,
have
look.
complete faith in the system. You do not break the constitution, which Mr. Modi did.
Okay, look, viewers, the point is that at some point, one has to begin to trust in the only verdict that matters, which is the Supreme Court. That's where we are at. There's another